some of the power outputs. Okay, for the 20 kilowatt system that I have right here, at a 10 mile per hour conservative value, and that's what I am, it's conservative value, that's 19,727 kilowatt hours a year. For my consumption, that's 60% of my power. Being I'm on the water, I think I'm going to go up a little bit better than that, because they try to put you right in the middle to be a conservative value. I think I'll be about 12, and that's going to be almost 30, a little bit over 32,000 kilowatt hours. So that's going to give me about 96% of my power consumption. So anyway, like I said, you have to match what you've got. But again, the first thing you really need to do is go and add up what you're consuming. This system, the Jacobs, is a grid tie system, just like the Berge system, which is another company. And so what that means, like the previous briefer, you're still tied to the grid. And Smeco is very good, and they want to do this, so they're not a problem. And the only thing that Smeco is really concerned about is, if you lose grid power and your system's still running, does it put power back on the grid and fry the lineman if he's trying to repair it? That's their major concern. They're also concerned with the quality of the power, and that's what the inverter cleans up. Make sure you're in phase with the grid power so someone else can use it. But the main concern is safety. The way this system operates, the actual field in the head is actually fed by the grid. So once the grid goes down, you lose that field, so you're not putting out power. Now, as well, most of you people know, anything will eventually get magnetized. So even though the grid goes down, it still has some little magnetic field stored in there because of use. It's going to put a little bit more power out. That's what the inverter does. It kicks the rest of the stuff out. It takes about 8 milliseconds to cut that out. So anyway, like I said, this system has 3 basic tower sizes. The cost of a new turbine like this for hardware, tower, inverter, and the turbine is about $54K. That's new. Now, I didn't go new. I went refurbished. When I was out in California, I actually ran into a guy who had a system that was refurbished, and I got it probably less than half. I got it for $26K. It was a 120-foot tower. It's got the turbine and the inverter. And right now I'm working on the tower. Like I said, it was originally 120, but the wife didn't want that. She wanted 100, so I have a 100-foot tower. But, so anyway, I had it all shipped out from California to my house last year. The towers, there's still more towers out there if you guys want to go the refurbished. I mean, they're galvanized, they last forever. You just got to buff them up and clean them up. And if you want to put a certain paint on there, I do have a certain paint that is recommended by people that do towers. And the other thing you probably want to do is replace the bolts. They take grade 5 construction bolts, and I can tell you where you can get some at a good price. So anyway, that's what I'm currently doing, getting my tower together. And I'm the guy that only has the only permit right now in St. Mary's County to do it in a critical area, because that's another thing that Mr. Jarbo said. The other issue as we were doing this permit process was the Critical Area Commission up in Annapolis. They were, at the time that we were doing this permit, they were saying that we needed a variance if you were in the critical area to do a turbine, which was kind of conflict with other things you don't need a variance for. You don't need a variance for a pier or a rock wrap or even a 3-foot wide walkway going through the critical area, but for turbines, for some reason, they didn't want that. But there was enough pressure put on these folks that just before the signing in December that they backed down. Basically said that they never said that. They meant if someone was going to clear cut a whole bunch of trees, then they had to seek a variance. Other than that, it was okay. Well, we can never get them to put this in writing because that's the way these folks operate. Though they did left some verbal, messages with us. So just give this other quick story. Once the ordinance was signed, I basically had to do other things at my house. I resurveyed my property. And the biggest thing that the ordinance has, if it falls in your property, it stays in your property. It doesn't go over to your neighbor's house or something like that. So you have basic setbacks. I have a 115-foot setback, which is the total height of my tower. So I basically have an area where I can put my turbine and it's not going to fall outside my property. The other thing you have to do is do a soil test. You want to see what your soil is like. And I basically had a guy do a soil test. He basically poured down 35 feet to find the consistency of the soil. When do I hit water? What is it made of? Is it clay? Is it sand? And that equates to what kind of foundation that you put in. And right now, actually I hit water about, I think, 15 feet. He went down 35 feet, and there's different ways you can do this. You can either do like a piling or basically a big round pile, 3-foot diameter for each leg, and go down, it's like 27 feet, that's a lot of concrete. And it would also require pumping the water out because there was water be coming in as we were doing the foundation. But what I'm going to put in is basically the shower type foundation. It only goes down like 7 feet. It's a caisson about 3 foot in diameter for each leg.
It goes out to a 9-foot square piece of concrete. Still a lot of concrete, but I'm not going to get water. I don't have to do anything. So that's what I'm doing right now. But to do that, I have to put the tower together first, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I have to basically assemble it from the top down to make sure everything hooks right, hooks together. Then I disconnect the last 20-foot section and put my anchor legs on it, set it above my holes, and then pour my concrete on it. And this system basically has hinges, is the way we put it together. 2 legs. It's a freestanding tower. I think I have a picture of it in here. Similar to that. That's the Jacob. It's got 3 legs, and one of the legs is actually a climbing leg. So you have to do some maintenance on this system. This one requires some maintenance. Check the bolts. It has an oil base in the gear head. It's like 4 quarts. It's synthetic. You replace every year. I don't mind climbing the tower. I get a nice view if I go up there. So anyway, for this system, it does require some maintenance. The Berge system, like I mentioned, they claim there's no maintenance required, so I'm not quite sure if that's really true. That's what they claim. So anyway, I did get my permit, and it wasn't easy because crew of the area started doing some backpedaling, saying that, well, we think the variance may be required. Put more pressure on them, and they basically backed down and told zoning to do what they wanted to do. And they were going to have an April 1st meeting in Annapolis to discuss this. Well, I knew once they had that meeting, something was going to happen. Sure enough, it did. I got my permit just under the wire, and after that meeting, they put a 90-day hold on any permits in the critical area. If you're not in the critical area, you can still do the permit, but if you're in the critical area, which a lot of us are down there, you can't do it until they figure what they're doing. But anyway, let me see what I may have missed here. Here's the wind map. There's the system. It's a general. You got a tower, you got an inverter. And this is an analog system, so you have a choke in there. They do have Jacobs is actually doing a new digital inverter, and they're getting it certified actually right now. It's not on the market yet, but it should be this summertime. And again, you have net metering. This is new to, not too new to Smecco, but there's some issues. What you want to do is basically, for the whole year, if you produce a certain amount of power, and let's say the power you produce was all that your consumption, so your net was 0, that's okay. But the way I'm understanding it, if I actually generate a surplus in addition to what I've already used, that Smecco basically says thank you and start the clock at 0 again.